Welcome back to another lecture about how to deal with people. And so today we're going to start this unit off, this module off, with discussing appropriate versus inappropriate workplace behaviors. So let's start with the idea of what is appropriate workplace behavior. This includes things like working with others in a cooperative, constructive manner, which relates back to our discussion of collaboration earlier. Complying with all laws, policies, and ethical standards that are established in your state, your nation, or by your organization. But most importantly, is treating others with respect. So these tend to fall in the category of appropriate workplace behaviors. The types of things where employees do not act in a way that causes organizational dysfunction, does not disrupt teams, ultimately does not create conflicts that are unreasonable based on the way that they interact with others. So, on the flip side of this, what is inappropriate workplace behavior? Violating the dignity of others, violating laws, ethical standards, or policies. And so these are the two of the broad ways that we can define this. But generally, treating people disrespectfully, treating people like they don't matter, treating people in ways that humiliates them, embarrasses them, degrades them in any ways, but also violating any laws, whether they're civil or criminal, are all considered inappropriate workplace behaviors, and really are the bottom of the barrel, like baseline. Don't do these type of things. So let's look at a couple of examples of inappropriate workplace behaviors, so we're clear about what kind of things fit in this category. Acting aggressively towards colleagues. This would be physically aggressively. Violating people's space, shouting insults, being generally demeaning, making any type of threats. This would also include things like spreading gossip, rumors, generally trying to undermine people's reputations within the workplace. Any unwanted physical contact. I can't stress this enough. In the workplace, do not touch other people. You should keep your hands to yourself. This is something we all learned in elementary school, but some people forget. But unwanted physical contact is called sexual harassment. It is both a crime and a civil offense. Unwanted comments on the appearance of others. Again, it is inappropriate workplace behavior to ever comment either positively or negatively on the appearance of your coworkers, saying that's a nice dress, or oh, you look good today, might seem like a compliment, but it can be embarrassing, humiliating to others. It can also make them feel uncomfortable in the workplace, and so it is inappropriate. Any type of offensive comments or jokes, even though you might think it's funny, others might not, and they can be offended by these things, which again makes the workplace hostile, threatening, uncomfortable for them. Deliberately insulting or deliberately isolating or excluding coworkers from workplace functions. It's inappropriate. It is a violation of others' dignities for you to specifically not invite people to say meetings, to not include them on work, team functions. Really, anything that makes them feel isolated, not part of the team, is considered inappropriate. Any type of unreasonable criticisms or demands that you're making of coworkers or employees. Certainly it is inappropriate for you to demand, a colleague to wash your car, to pick up your laundry, unless that's in their job description. It's outside of their responsibilities, and it's unreasonable for you to make those demands. It's also unreasonable for you to criticize them based on things that they might not have control over. Any type of coercion, any type of threats, any type of quid pro quo, basically saying, hey, if you don't do this for me, then I'm going to, tell on you. I'm going to report you. I'm going to fire you. All of those type of behaviors are always inappropriate workplace behaviors, and in some cases can again raise to the level of a civil tort. You can be involved in a lawsuit, or they can raise the level of a crime. Any type of bullying, threatening, intimidating people, trying to bully them into doing what you want, making unreasonable demands. It fits into a class of workplace harassment, which is, again, typically in violation of company policies, but also many times a violation of state laws. And then finally, any type of discrimination, any type of ways of using people's race, gender, age, nationality, ethnicities against them, creating bias, focusing on that, whether it's explicit or implicit discrimination. It is always considered inappropriate, unethical behavior. And then finally, criminal or unethical behavior that is not otherwise listed here, but generally anything that's would be considered a violation of ethical standards set by organizations or professional associations, anything that is a crime, and also anything that could raise the point of a civil action in court. These are again always inappropriate workplace behaviors. So we're going to discuss, particularly in this module, two very special classes of inappropriate behavior, because they're two of the most common that create issues within workplaces, but also the two most common that get people fired or sued, and organizations sued as well. The first is discrimination. And I'm sure that many of you have heard this word before, but to be clear, discrimination is any prejudicial treatment based on bias against a protective group, class, or category. And so protected classes in the U.S.: race, religion, national origin, age, sex, pregnancy, familial status, disability status, or veteran status. So these are all enshrined in federal laws. State and local laws may go above and beyond these. There are several, both states and local governments in the U.S. that add sexual orientation as a protected class. In all cases, that you cannot use somebody's, say, race against them in making decisions inside the workplace. This is considered discrimination. And so generally what we should always treat people with is stand behind the veil of ignorance, and generally not see them for any of their ascribed characteristics, and treat them as individuals, and treat them as respect for individuals with individuals. And again, there is lots of law, both enshrined through legislatures and through the courts, that holds up the criminal and civil penalties associated with the discriminatory behavior. The other type is harassment, and this is becoming even more important in the Me Too era and the last several years. But anytime, and so we'll talk about two kind of specific classes of this. But harassment in general is any type of unreasonable behavior that demeans, humiliates, or embarrasses a person. So when we talk about workplace harassment, this is specifically these type of behaviors within a workplace, aggressive behaviors in a workplace that demeans, humiliates, embarrasses a person, that makes for a hostile work environment, that creates a situation where employees do not want to go to work because they feel like they're being unreasonably treated. Their employers or their coworkers are making unreasonable demands of them, and are generally feeling socially isolated. This is all considered a special class of workplace harassment. The other version of harassment that we are commonly talk about in the U.S. is sexual harassment, and this is any version of unwelcome sexual remarks or advances. And so, particularly the unwelcome part is extremely important here. Even if you are making sexual remarks, advances, jokes, comments that you feel are innocent or that are in good nature, it is the receiving of these comments that is important, and not the intent behind them. And so typically we caution anybody inside of a workplace from ever commenting on a coworker's appearance, ever making physical contact with them, ever basically being perceived as creating any type of hostile workplace in general. So generally behave like a professional, behave like an adult. But I think the golden rule when it comes to these type of inappropriate behaviors is always do unto others, right? Treat others in the way that you want to be treated, and still steer clear of all these type of behaviors, and everything tends to work out well.